Hello everyone, welcome to this third video on Python. In this video, we'll see some of the basic stuff that we do when we start analyzing a new data set. So here again I'm using the same sleep, health and lifestyle data set available on Kaggle. So let's start. So first of all, I'm importing the libraries pandas. So most of the data manipulation would be done using this particular library only. So I'm just loading this library, import pandas as PD. So once done, I'm loading the data set. It is a CSV data set, so I'm using the function read underscore CSV here. So first and most important thing to know about your data set is the number of rows and columns. And that you can easily get that information using this function save. So our data frame is sleep. So with sleep.shape, we can get how many rows and columns are there in the data set. So it's 374 rows and 13 different columns. Now you want to get a sense of the data. So you want to check the first few rows or the last few rows of the data set. You can easily do that using head and tail function. So here with the head function, if you enter the number of rows, it will give you that number of rows. For example, here it is 10. So it will show 10 number of rows in the output. But by default, it will give you 5 rows only. So if you don't enter anything, for example, here if I just remove this 10 and if I run this again, I'll get only 5 rows in the output. Okay. Similarly, with the tail function, if you mention the number of rows, you'll get those many rows from the bottom. Otherwise, it will just give you 5 rows as an output. Now, just by observing the data set, you can understand what kind of values are there. It may not be complete because for that you'll have to explore a bit further. But yeah, you can see that these are the columns like person ID, gender, age, occupation, sleep duration, quality of sleep, physical activity level, stress level, BMI category, blood pressure, heart rate, daily steps, and sleep order. So these are the different columns you can understand, and yeah, you can also see that these are numeric. This is object or character field, something like that. You can also observe that. To get more information about the data, the number of rows, and then how many non null cases are there, you can use this function info. So when you run this is the output. So it gives you that the sleep is actually a data frame. Sleep is a data frame. There are 374 entries and index start from 0 to 373. Okay. And these are the different columns, and these many none null values are there, and also the data type also. So while loading the data set, if you have a date column and it is not loaded as a date time object, then you may have to change that. So this is very important step where you observe what is the d type or the data type of the columns that you have loaded in your system. It's also important to understand if there are any null values in the data set or not. Okay. And then you have this memory uses and how many different types of columns are there, that is also there. So float 64 is 1, int 64 is 7, and 5 object columns. Now, if you want to see the summary stats of your numeric columns, you'll use this function describe. And if I run this, you'll see that this is how the output looks like. So each of your numeric columns, you'll get the stats like count, mean, standard deviation, minimum, 25th percentile value, 50th percentile value, 75th percentile value, and maximum value. So you'll get idea about your data set. So how many rows are there? What is the average value? For example, here the average age is 42.2, around 42.2. Standard deviation is 8.6 or 7, like that. The minimum value is 27. So in the whole data set, the minimum age of a person is 27. The maximum age is 59, and the 58th percentile value, that is what we call median, is 43. Now the median again is very important in some cases. So even though the average seems to be 42, the median is 43. It's kind of same. So in case these two values are same, then the distribution is kind of symmetrical. We can say that 50% of values are below 43 and 50% of values are above 43. That is what we mean by median. And because these two are around the same, so it's kind of symmetrical. Similarly, we can see for sleep duration also, it's around the same. Okay, quality of sleep also, it's around the same. We'll get into the detail of distribution, etc., in the next few videos. Now, one thing you can observe, that this person ID is read as numeric, but yeah, you won't be doing any arithmetic operation on that particular column, and this mean median kind of thing does not make any sense for the person ID. So you should convert it to a string, and that can be done using this line of code. So sleep person ID, this column I have taken and I have used dot as type string to convert it from numeric to string. And after doing that, if I run this describe function again, then you'll see that there is no person ID column in that. And then I'm getting again the description stats for all the remaining columns. Okay. So now you see there is no person ID here. Now, another important thing that we are going to discuss is selecting a few rows from your data set. So for some reason, if you just have to select a few rows from your data set, how do you do that? So there are multiple ways to do that. So let's start with iloc function. So here the first argument would be the rows that you want to pick from your data set. So here, you first argument, you see it's colon 2. It means starting from 0 till 2, but 2 will not be included. So these are the indices that that will be pulled from the data set, but 2 will not included here. So first set of values are for rows, and the next set of values are for columns. You'll see that later. So if I run this, you'll see that 0 is included, 1 is included, but 2 is not included in the output here. Okay, 0 and 1 are here, 2 is not included in the output here. Now, if you write something like so, if you don't mention anything, it means starting from 0. But if you like write something like, for example, here it is 1 to 4, so it will include 1, 2, and 3, but it would not include 4, as you can see now in the output below. So these three indices are there, but fourth one is not there. If you want to see last few rows, then you can do that using negative indices. So you start with -5 till the end. So it means last, I mean, fifth row from the end till the last row. So you are getting this 369, 70, 71, 372, and 373. Okay. So with this, we can actually see the last few rows as well. We have done that using head as well, or tell. You can actually pick number of rows from top and bottom, but here also you can actually pick number of rows from top or bottom, and it need not be continuous. If you want to select a few rows individually, I mean, that also you can do. So for example, if I write here sleep dot I lock, and then if I enter say 159 comma, so it will give me only those indices as an output. So you see that, you see these indices 159 are only there in the output. So that can also be done easily. So actually, when you will be actually filtering out rows from your data set, you'll be mostly doing something like this only. Now, if you want to select column, so in this iloc function, the next set of values you can enter as the column. So, for example, here it is uh, 5 rows and 4 columns, starting from 0 index. So, if you see the output here, it's 5 rows because it starts from 0 and it will not include fifth. Okay, and here also for column also it start from 0th index, which is person id, gender, age and occupation. So it's giving you 4 output, but it does not include the fourth index. Because it starts from 0, it will give you 4 output from till 3 only. 0 1 2 3. Now if you just change it and make it 1 to 4, then it will give you output as first, second, and third, not the fourth one. So there are 3 columns and 5 rows. Similarly, as you have done for rows, you can actually select the columns from the end as well with negative number while selecting this columns. So here I'm selecting 3 columns from the end. So which are heart rate, daily steps, and sleep disorder. Again, if you just want to select some specific rows and columns, you can just mention those set of rows and columns here, and that would be the output from your data frame. So here it is the index 1 and 2, and the column indexes 0 and 3. So it would be first and the fourth column, first and the fourth column. If you see, this is the fourth column. One, two, three, four. So first one is pick and occupation. This is picked here, person id and occupation. Now you can also filter your data set with loc function, and here you can mention the rows as again an array, and the columns you can mention as an array or the list of names. So with this line of code here, you can see that it's top 5 rows, and these 2 columns will be person id and occupation. So if you see the output, this is how it is. With this line of code, one more column would be added, which is heart rate. Okay, only the top 3 rows in fact. So here, yeah, there is a difference here with iloc and loc, that if you see in iloc, if you would have done this column 5, it would have given us only 5 rows and output. But here in loc, actually you'll get 6 rows and output, and it includes the last index as well. So it starts from 0 till 5. So there is a difference which you should keep in mind, that it will give you the index, the last one as well with this LOC, log function. Okay. Now, similar to the way we select columns in SQL, actually, you can just mention the name of the columns if you just want all the rows. So, in without any, for example, in SQL, we just select star or select the name of the columns from the data. So, something like that, if you just want to do, you can mention the set of the list of the columns in the data frame. You don't need LOC or iloc function, anything here. And if you do that, you'll get all the values in those particular column. And as I have done head to here, I'm just getting 2 rows and an output. So if I remove this, if you see, if I remove this, the output would be all the rows from the data frame for these 2 columns, you see. So this way also you can actually select a few columns from your data set. Now, if you just want to select columns based on certain conditions, so if it contains a particular word or not, something like that, then for that also you can use this dot So the column names would be a list with some text values. Okay, and from there you can actually look for this condition. For example, I am looking for column names which contain sleep. So with this code, you will filter out those columns only which contains the word sleep. So columns, so sleep dot columns will give you the name of the columns, and dot string dot contains sleep will give the name of the columns which contains sleep. So let's see this first. So if I do this sleep not columns, the output would be this. So it gives us all the columns, right? Now if I do this, just copy this from here. If I run this, you'll see that it is giving me which of these columns actually satisfy this condition. So true false kind of thing. So with this it will pick only the cases where it is true. So one, two, three, four, fifth. So fifth column, one, two, three, four, five. So this fifth column sleep duration, it contains sleep, so it is true here. Sixth one also has sleep, so it is true here. And the last one has sleep. So those conditions which those columns which satisfy this condition, that would be picked in the output here. So if I run this, it it will give me the output only these three columns: sleep duration, quality of sleep, and disorder. It is the same like adding uh, an array with those three column indices. So for in that case it would be like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 4, 5, and 12. So let's see that. So if I do sleep dot ilog, and I want only two columns, and here it would be 4, 5, 12. Sorry, only two rows. Here it would be 4, 5, 12. These columns. You see, this is all the, it's kind of same. Only difference here is that with lock actually you're getting three rows. Here you are getting two. For to change that, I'll have to mention three here. Okay. So this is how it operates. So the true value, so it checks for this term in all these column names, and wherever it is there, it will give true, and only those columns are actually picked here. So similarly, when I am checking for either of these two terms, whether ID is present or sleep is present, so if any of these condition is satisfied, it will give me that set of column. So here I can see that I have person ID, which is the first column, and then the other three columns are also picked here. So now we have already done that, but yeah, rows and column both you can select like this. So I'm uh, providing the indices to filter the rows, but yeah, you can also filter your rows based on certain condition. We'll get into the details of that later, but yeah, just an example here. So if I want to actually select only those rows where sleep disorder value is insomnia. So this condition is mentioned here in this sleep.ilog function. The first one is a condition. So it will also give me true false kind of values, and this will also give me true false kind of values. So only those cases where it is true, that would be selected in the output for rows as well as columns. So the output would look like this. So you see only those rows where it is insomnia that is being filtered out from the data frame, and it is in the output here. Okay. So we'll pick up from this place in the next video. We'll see some other basic functions that is quite useful while doing any data analysis. And do subscribe my channel, like the video, and share it among your friends. Thank you.